So if I would apply my company US DNA, I would say it's a pleasure to be here in front of you and be between you and lunch. But I'm actually Swiss, so I would say it could be worse. It could be after lunch. My name is Urs Wermelinger. I'm running marketing for LiveTiles here in Europe. LiveTiles is a workplace technology company. Some of you might actually know probably the brands Wisdom or Matchpoint from Cycle in the past. Those were two European IntraNET platforms. They all came together under LiveTiles today. LiveTiles is selling employee experience platform software, we would say today. We used to call it actually digital workplace. And we're lucky to serve over 1,000 customers worldwide. We here at IntraNET Reloaded, together with our implementation partner, Hanse Vision. Dietrich Roth will be on stage with me for a Q&A and an introduction as well right after. I'm going to talk and share some insights we actually draw out of a recent survey we did with our customers, but it's not going to be pretty unique in terms of findings. A lot of those findings were backed up with other studies as well. But it's mainly going to be covering the key challenges and changes that we actually see in the workplace today, and the challenges come out of those changes for most of you in the room as well. How we can tool the comms spectrum as well to tackle those challenges in the small and short glimpse as well in the LiveTiles Experience platform. We called those learnings, those 3 workplace shifts, the voice of the employee is essential. Employee experiences for everyone. It's kind of, let's get it out there and democratize employee experience. I'm going to talk about that. And the last one we called the battleground for attention. A little bit more excitement in marketing. Let me start with the first one, employee voice. This came out clearly as the #1 priority for CXOs we actually surveyed. And it's not just us. PwC came out with a similar story, surveying 1,000 CXOs worldwide. They really deeply care about employee connections, employee commitments to the company. And that comes with no surprise. For a long time, companies have been trying to connect employees to the company identity through things like buildings or events, employee town halls. Now with the shift to the digital space, this is going to be pretty difficult. Many of those companies actually started that journey only and are struggling today. And it's no surprise that in the recent Gallup study, the State of the Workplace, some of you might know, which just came out a few weeks ago, for the first time after 2009, there was a constant raise in global employee engagement index. Every year was like 1 or 2 points increase. Last year, 2020, we saw the first time the global index declining from 22% to 20% of engaged employees in the business. The first time ever, and that was 2020, and I don't expect 21 to be a steep increase in employee engagement. So it's going to be, that alone tells us that it's a big call to action in there. The race for resilience in the work, in your staff, is obviously it was driven by the awareness in the crisis. Hey, we need to be there. We need to not just us as a company operationally, but with your workforce, we need to build on resilience against crises like this. When something similar happens to us, emergency case and crisis came up, how resilient is our staff? How tied to our company and loyal to our company is the staff going to be when we never see them, right? So well-being and engagement right now, if we ask those CXOs, is a currency that's accepted in the business today. And it's a business, it's not just for the, want to be a decent human being and look after well-being of our employees. It comes for the main reason to build this resilient company, this resilient organization with all the learning we have been going through. No surprise to you, I'm pretty sure by 25, about 70%-ish of our workforce will be Generation Zs or digital natives. What this brings is actually bad news for us as comms manager as well. Because digital natives, they don't just look at connection to the company, they actually look for a purpose, right? They even want to know, why the heck should I work for you? Not just, how much do you pay me? Why should I work for you? Why are we doing what we do is good for society and for our customers? So tackling with this purpose requirement of the workforce to come is, embedded and accelerated by all the shifts. And last but not least, with the recent rush, I'm not sure how many of you introduced Teams in the last 24 months, and quite a rush. But, some of us actually left this, that we actually have more tools, and we distribute news to more tools. They're ending up in new silos instead of being used more generally. The second workplace shift, we call it employee experiences for everyone. And obviously, this is talking about the inclusion of frontline workers. Interestingly enough, this really surfaced again when the companies had to deal with the hybrid situation of the white-collar worker, the knowledge worker. All of a sudden, they have been, working from home, and we all realized, how we connect them. And then, by doing so, we also figured out, hey, it's actually possible to work from home. There's a few things you need to do, technology you need to buy, or being on the cloud, or whatever, but it's possible. And for the first time, actually, we all realized, yeah, but if this is possible to have all our white collars at home, why didn't we connect our frontline to the same workplace, first place? Which leads me to the second point, is when we try to do this, and this is, again, something that came back pretty strongly, what many organizations realized, yeah, but those frontline workers, in many cases, what they lack is a digital ID. They don't have a company email address in many cases. They don't have any other digital ID that is ensuring that they're part of this digital workplace of this company. It's not just a badge to go into the building. It's actually a badge, a virtual token, or whatever, to log on to the digital environment of the company. So the digital ID problem, regardless of GDPR requirements or whatever, is an important one to solve for in the business. And last but not least, not just Gartner, but many others actually identified the frontline worker experience as the number one productivity upside in the business. This leads me to the third one, the battleground for attention. A bit of war language, but it's actually really a battleground. And I put the first bullet in here. We actually all together, we can learn from this, what's called the attention economics. This theory tries to look into the human attention as a scarce resource. So something we have to plan for, something we have to fight for, something we need to earn to get. And not as in most of, and you forgive me, most of our corporate intranets, we just assumed people feel obliged to go to the corporate intranet. If you move everything, the whole experience to the digital space, this is competing with Netflix, with, sorry to say, the Dutch team against the Czech team yesterday, although some of the Dutch audience in the room might actually have tuned off a little bit earlier yesterday. So we are really competing with a human attention across the span, not just for business. Right? If you only have digital devices, that's what we compete for as communicators in the business. A certain amount of attention span of a human being. And we need to plan accordingly. Obviously, as tech vendors, we have to change as well. There's no way we can continue to sell you a tool and sell you adoption for that tool. No, we need to flip it around and say, what is your employee, your staff? What are they doing? What they're using? Where are they? What can we do together to reach them and engage them? Flip it around. Quite different to selling an intranet in the past. And last but not least, we all should learn from our colleagues in marketing. They have been doing this for years, right? that has, in their job, they needed to fight against the competition online. They needed to find the right channels. They needed to measure reach. They needed to measure conversions. The same thing is going to happen here. The same thing is going to happen to internal communications. So we can learn from this as well. Some of the stuff, this dealing with the attention economy, we all know how to deal with it, some piece of it, right? Probably something like this is familiar to you. Is it one way to actually plan communications, information, messages to your audience in your company as well, with dimension of criticality or urgency as well. Obviously, it's a different measure that when you have something to communicate that's mission critical. It's an emergency case. You want to push it to every channel and disturb people and get it in front of the face of people. But if you announce a new employee, you probably don't want to disturb people when they're doing their work or doing sales presentations. So this is something you want to carefully plan for in your comms plan. What you also do, and we've seen these very nice examples of Zeiss as well, you actually start to map this to your technology channels you have available in the company. Or you could call it as well to your tools you're using. And the tools I have here are the Microsoft tools, but we all know in our business we have myriads of other tools. In HR, in learning and development, we have multiple tools per bucket in your comms plan. What this does is two things. It's a good, because we start to purposefully plan for it and give advice to our employees how to use it. On the other hand, we also run the risk to create silos again, to create multiple applications people need to use for different tasks again. And that's why, as LiveTiles, what we try to do is build this unified content management system underneath that's helping communicators to use all those different channels and tools where they make sense to reach the employees where they are. So, and how we actually talk about it is we call it an experience platform. I love the discussion in the morning, is IntraNET dead? Or are we going to call this conference on IntraNET Reloaded next year? Exactly the same discussion we have internally when it comes to our strategy. Is it going to be called IntraNET, what we're going to sell in the future, or is it something different? And the way we think about it is, increasingly we have this thing in the middle, which we call an integration platform, which starts to integrate all the different feeds of information and processes internally you have, feed it back into an integration platform associated with your content management system, with your targeting system, your search engine, and then allow on top of this integration platform for you to plan the distribution of those messages to the optimized experiences. We call those experiences. And yes, there's going to be something what we call an intranet experience, where people collaborate on an intranet or internet type of platform. But that's not going to be the only one in the future. We all know that. Already today, we have specialized platforms for people who are collaborating on projects. Most of the time, they use Teams or Slack. So we optimize the communication distribution to this platform through what we call a Teams experience. The same is true for frontline. Some of those frontline workers with no digital ID, I talked about it, we need to have a solution for them through a mobile app that's not requiring Office 365, for instance, or not requiring a corporate email address. And the last piece as well, we want to play back the information to those tools people use. So if we get messages and content out of Salesforce, we want to be able to actually play back to Salesforce if that's the dominant tool a person is using. So to show you a glimpse of this software as well, I want to run a short 2 minutes video to actually give you a glimpse to that, and obviously there's more we can show you on the booth.
To get people's attention, you need to be where they already are. It is difficult to make people move to the internet just to read the news. That's why we provide you with the ability to target your audience on the device and in the application they're constantly using for doing their work. Your frontline can be best reached on a mobile device. Not only news, but also access to policies and important information, as well as communities, bottom-up communications, chat, and the access to the people directory, provide a comprehensive set of functionality that communicators need, all included in an app. Likewise, information workers are spending their day in Microsoft Teams, sitting in meetings and working on documents. Wouldn't it be perfect if you could reach these people with your news, posts, and events directly in Microsoft Teams? With the LiveTiles platform, you can. But even better, we not only provide a Teams-based app, but also an integration into the activity feed. So new posts automatically push a notification into your feed and make you aware of the new content without context switch. But the LiveTiles offer goes even further than that. With LiveTiles everywhere, we not only bring content to other platforms and applications, but also functionality of your intranet. A typical example of what you always want to have around you are your personal links, your agenda, your profile, or an aggregation of your tasks, with the possibility to directly interact with them. So by not forcing people through a specific front door, but instead enabling communicators to direct their messages directly to the applications and devices people use, we get much more attention.
So you have seen in this little video as well, Viva quickly. And to relate to one of the questions earlier this morning as well, what's the next big thing? I think no one in this room knows, right? Viva seems to be a big thing coming up, because if Microsoft is behind, they have the muscle to make it actually something that's going to be sticky. Right now is vaporware combined with a promise a bit, but it's going to be around. So it's going to be certainly what it's going to be an experience. People are sitting in front of it, right? But there might be other experiences coming up, completely different. We actually don't know yet. So whatever you do, the platform needs to be able to actually move them into your business if they matter, right? So it's not knowing the next big thing, the next episode. It's being ready to move them in and define the experiences you need for the employees you have, the use cases you have, and feed them. It's not just the comms challenges. It's also sometimes organization. You could also call it, sometimes it's the technical challenges behind that. So what happens if your company has a sister company on two different Office 365 tenants, quite often the case today? How easy is it to actually attach the communication platform with this integration platform, just attach the two different Office 365 tenants you have in the sister company and your main company, and go and communicate to them? No need to wait for IT to actually integrate everything. The same is true if you just bought a company. Merger and acquisition, a typical use case, we bought this company just the other week. Can we start to communicate to them? How easy is it to attach this new company to your comms infrastructure with a few clicks? Is that possible at all? Or do you need to wait to integrate the whole IT systems, which would be, most of the cases, pretty long time? Another one is you want to attach people you work with to your comms as well. Maybe not to everything you communicate, but they should understand what you do. They should understand how you drive culture internally. It should be part of your experience as well. How easy is it to attach external people in the whole GDPR and everything security environment you deal with? Your systems need to be able to actually provide this information and provide this solution as well. And sometimes you have what we call ring-shaped stakeholder environments, or you actually work with companies that are more an agency, insurance agency type. So they're on their own companies, but attached to your brands. Can you give them their own communications identities but still be connected to you? All those various, the last one I almost forgot, one of those circumstances we pretty often see people struggling with is when you have like not-for-profit organizations. They have to deal with lots of volunteers, changing volunteers, managing lists in Excel is a nightmare for them. Can you attach, volunteers just by their private email address to your comms system, or member organizations like associations? And yes, ultimately as well, you want to get use of the possibilities of modern cloud platforms and actually decide yourself on where your application sits and where your data sits. And as being in Germany, I know it's a big topic here as well, especially, right? So while those are not really communication challenges, they have a big impact on the ability to actually run your comms. So that's why we think, yeah, there's going to be technology underneath, but the technology needs to be in a layer to integrate all and optimize for all those challenges and integrate the different sources and to be used as a tool to actually distribute those information and the content you actually need to run in the business. As a summary from those workplace shifts, yes, hybrid is going to stay, right, in some sort of form, and we need to deal with it. We need to deal with the complexity and the challenges of that, what that brings. Reaching people where they are, everyone has a different digital home. So how can we deal with that? And at the last but not least, the people's attention. So how to help cut through the noise as comms managers. I know that some of you in the room had been starting to deal with those challenges some time ago. Lucky you, not everyone had, but hopefully, that's certainly true for you. And I want to quickly introduce a company who certainly has done that. Arbus, security tech company, a well-known brand here in Germany. It's also going to be the award case we hopefully can put in front of you, and you vote for it this afternoon or this evening as well. Arbus was lucky enough, to actually launch their IntraNET, Arbus IntraNET or IntraNET solution a few weeks before the pandemic or the corona measures actually hit them. And I'm pleased to have Mr. Thorsten Mühlhoff with me, hopefully, if the technology works. He's dialing in remotely. And I want to, first of all, congratulate you, Mr. Mühlhoff, for that good timing, bringing and launching your comms solution right a few weeks before corona hit. And congratulate to you. Mr. Mühlhoff?
Mr. Wermelinger. And
hello.
Hello to everybody watching and listening. Yes, we introduced our new IntraNET. That's the name of our new IntraNET in February 2020, so just in time. But to be honest, the timing was luck, obviously. Of course, when most of us were forced to work from home, we were rather happy to have a robust internal communication and collaboration platform to rely on. Actually, not all was due to pure luck, since we were able to go live with our IntraNET exactly on time and with only a few months of working on the project. My thanks certainly go to the great Hunter Vision project team. Time to solution or time to market were really crucial for this project, even more than we originally thought.
Yeah, indeed. Again, that's good timing. When you think back in March, what was the most, the crucial aspect of your new, your new IntraNET or the way you set it up?
Well, our new IntraNET was obviously a critical element to keep employees connected with their work, committed to and engaged with the company. But really crucial, in my opinion, was our earlier decision to move our workplace technology increasingly to the cloud, including our new internal information platform. This way, our employees were able to transition very smoothly to work from home, had everything they needed accessible online, and were able to stay connected with their team and their peers as well. What also proved to be a good decision in that context, we kept our new IntraNET pretty lean, easy to understand and very functional. So as a result, users required minimal to, let's say, no training and were able to ramp up very fast.
Okay, sounds good. And with all this good experience, what are your next steps or your next plans, extending?
Well, right now we are about to globalize our IntraNET right now. And we currently review how much flexibility can and should be given to subsidiaries and daughter companies, and how much and how we match central content governance and production. In any case, we are certainly going to leverage the momentum the whole platform has and expand to more business entities.
Super.
I think.
Sorry.
Well, yes, maybe one add-on. I think it's fair to say that the enforced lockdown measures were a kind of proof point of the value cloud platforms have in general, and can have, and certainly an accelerator for an almost immediate adoption. So that's my point.
Sorry for that. Thank you, Mr. Mühlhoff, and thanks for sharing your insights. I want to now ask Dietrich Rob from Hansi Vision. We heard this cloud going to be as one of those, how do you say, conditions to be successful when moving to such a solution like that, and speed. How you actually managed to get that in 2 months?
Yes, well, I will pick up the speed.
Can we switch to the slides, please?
Attribute a little more. As Mr. Mühlhoff also said, well, we do IntraNET solutions since 20 years, more than 20 years meanwhile. And 5-6 years ago, we see a change in the market due to being faster. Not having a year, what we also hear today, that it took a year or 2 years to get the internet up and running. We're getting more and more demand. It should take 3 months, 2 months. And also the effort to put in shouldn't be this much, but whether it's possible within a few months. So we checked the market in 5-6 years ago and find Wisdom, well, formerly known as Wisdom LiveTiles, and still think that they are ahead of the others, at least in the German-speaking market. And this speed, we see speed is even more important today with all this COVID thing we're all in. So speed is a factor. Now we also want to speed up. I see a few seconds. Also with the reach means reaching the frontline workers. How do it fast? There's a product coming up from LiveTiles, which is Reach. We add on additional services to help you starting it even faster. So this is an pay-as-you-go service, all inclusive. We added some workshop kind of training, so you can easily start with it. Right away, putting best practices solution on it, set it up, so it fits for your requirement, at least in the very early stages. And so it took you just a few days to start with it and get training from us and reaching your frontline workers, especially with mobile phones. And so there's a small fee coming with it, will be credited just in case you decided for it.
Thank you, Dietrich. Sorry, we are a little bit 1 minute over time, so I need to come to the close. Thank you very much for listening. Obviously, we are here today and tomorrow as well. And the last piece of the advertisement is most of the findings I was sharing today here is we also put that in an ebook or white paper or whatever you call it, something you can download on this link. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the three of you. Very interesting insights. And as already mentioned, they're on the exhibition hall as well if you have any further questions.